Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Assassin's Creed Unity. Um, so I kind of got, I don't know, kind of tired of seeing Brown on Arnaud, so I just changed the outfit. And yeah, this is what we're rocking right now. I grinded a bunch of stuff, like all the co-op and heists, for all the skill points, and I got also a bunch of chests that I hadn't gotten before, and that allowed me to buy the most optimal equipment, if you will, on Arno. So, having said that, let's continue the story. A cautious alliance. Elise is out of leads, out of allies, and out of time. Convince her to join forces with the Brotherhood to find her father's killer.
So,
So,
seems you've been busy.
tracking down the man who killed your father, yes.
Best of luck. He's killed most of my allies and intimidated the rest into silence. No closer now than I was 2 years ago.
I've seen him.
What? When? Where can I find him?
I'm not sure that's a good idea. He wants you dead, Elise.
What? You want to protect me?
I want to help you. The Brotherhood has resources, manpower.
You cannot be serious. I don't trust the assassins.
Technically, you shouldn't.
Do you trust me? I haven't changed that much, Elise. I'm still the same boy who distracted the cook while you stole the jam. The same one who helped you over the wall into that dog-infested orchard.
All right. Take me to your Brotherhood. I'll hear their offer.
Offer may be a bit strong.
This makes no sense.
Is that?
Bloody Templar. What's he doing?
Really?
They're a touch paranoid when it comes to security.
2 right turns, 73 steps, then down a flight of stairs, a left and another right. Did I get all that?
What the hell you done this time, pisspot?
The Templars have marked her for death.
So you brought her here?
The Brotherhood has resources, manpower.
Shut up!
Well, what have we here?
I don't.
My name is...
For heaven's sake, take that blindfold off. Ridiculous.
My name is Elise de la Serre. My father was François de la Serre, Grand Master of the Templar Order. I've come to ask for your help.
Continue.
Mirabeau,
Must we rehash this debate again?
We must, and we will, Master Kemar. If you cannot see the advantage in being owed a favor by Francois de la Serre's daughter, I despair for our future. Continue, Mademoiselle de la Serre.
Oh, here we go.
You are not men with whom I would normally parley, monsieur. But my father is dead, as are my allies within the Order. If I must turn to the assassins for my revenge, so be it.
Parlay, my arse! It's a trick! To make us lower our guard. I say we kill her, send her head back as a warning.
Belek.
Enough! Plainly, this discussion is better conducted in private.
If you will excuse us, Mademoiselle de la Serre,
Certainly.
Arno,
perhaps you should accompany her. I am sure you two have much to talk about.
My friend. Hello.
Can't tell if that was intentional or not. The merchant's line.
That went about as well as I expected.
Give it time. Mirabeau will talk them around.
Do you really think we'll find her? After all this time?
His luck can't last forever.
You know I hate to get my
François
hands
Germain
dirty.
believed Lafreniere was... Yes? His shop's on the Rue Saint-Antoine. Why? What the... Elise?
Well, all that because I killed 2 people.
What are you doing?
Oh, she slowed down now. God damn it, Arnaud.
Where are you going?
Am I supposed to tackle her? Guess not.
Slow down!
Wait for me!
I can't run at her pace. I either walk or sprint past her.
Elise!
Okay, now she's sped up.
How are you, Anna?
Très bien.
What was that about?
Oh no. François Germain was my father's lieutenant.
What?
He was cast out of
Lieutenant?
the order when I was a girl. Something about heretical notions or Jacques de Molay, I'm not entirely sure. But he should be dead. He died years ago.
Did anyone tell him that?
I would very much like to ask him a few questions.
So would I.
What do you want me to do?
Empty.
Upstairs. That's where his workshop was.
Let's go.
It might not even be the same Germain.
Tall, grey hair, eyes 2 different colors.
All right, perhaps it is the same Germain.
Hold on. This conversation just reminded me of something. So, not too long ago, for some reason, I can't remember what, but I checked one of the first videos of this playthrough. The guy that made the pin or whatever it was that was used to kill de la Serre was the guy in the caravan or carriage or whatever that Arnaud mistakens in one of the very early missions when he's chasing de la Serre with a letter. There's no way that's like a coincidence. Like, that has to be very intentional. However, you would only notice it, I mean, if you record and check again after getting to that point in the story, or in a second playthrough. So this guy can't be who he says he is, because it's just a big detail.
Looks like no one's home. Please.
Don't tell me. It's a trap.
Enemy stunned.
It's a trap.
Well. Kill them!
What is stunned?
Now I've got you!
Alright.
Oh, Christ, that's bad!
Why are you yelling? Hell yeah, teamwork. Where do you want to go?
that was bracing.
Just like that time in Marseille.
Bit more blood this time around.
There's nothing here.
You must have known his bluff wouldn't hold up.
So we've lost him again.
Maybe not. Let's keep looking. Locked. Maybe we could do that. Well, now I know why this wasn't on the official tour.
Oh no. Look. It's him. The bastard killed my father.
We have to tell Mirabeau. As soon as... I'll take care of this. Meet me at Mirabeau's estate.
Francois Thomas Germain. Hello, cutting in here at the beginning because this is big news. It's not terribly often we get eyes on a Grand Master, even one who's been dead for a couple of centuries. And a sage to boot? This has massive potential, and we're going to need to keep on him and find out what really happened to him. All the historical documentation I can find says he died in 1791, which, unless Arnaud invented time travel, means that the historical record is bollocks. Update. Well, I don't think we need to worry about Templars finding his remains now. Templars zeros, assassins a match. A silversmith and son of a silversmith, Germain was one of the legends of his trade, but he was doomed to die in obscurity. After an ill-defined scandal possibly involving a violation of guild laws, he lost his position as silversmith to the King of France and was kicked out of his accommodation in the Louvre. He employed dozens of workers in a workshop factory that produced thousands of pieces, many of which have since been lost, stolen, or melted down. If there's a kind of scandal I love, it's the ill-defined kind. I've got one, makes a lovely paperweight. On an unrelated note, I think I'll get rid of this now. Right, so while I was grinding, I actually forgot that I had a bunch of database entries. So, Napoleon Bonaparte. Had he been born a few weeks earlier, Napoleon would have been Italian. What a terrifying thought. He was born with the Italianized version of his name, Bonaparte, on the island of Corsica, which belonged to Genoa until the Genoese sold their rights to the French crown. The skinny Napoleon had a difficult adolescence. Badly dressed and with a heavy Corsican accent, his rustic manners were out of place among the smart young nobles who attended the same military school as he did. The future emperor, député Jacobin, was a bad boy who was often absent. In 6 years, he notched up 38 months of leave for 33 months of presence under the French flag. So in fact, he was quite Italian then. In 1791, he spent several months in Corsica to help Pasquale Paoli, the Corsican liberator, who would go on to hate and distrust the Bonaparte family. He exceeded his leave of absence and was struck off on January 1, 1792. Although a civilian once more, he was promptly appointed colonel of a battalion of volunteers that would fire on demonstrators protesting against the civil constitution of the clergy. Without being ordered to do so, he took the citadel of Ajaccio. You say self-motivated, I say rude. Later, he took part in the revolutionary days of 20th June and August 10, 1792. His participation in the siege of Toulon, though he did not take the city all by himself, and his mastery of artillery gained him the admiration of Augustin Robespierre, younger brother of the revolutionary leader Maximilien Robespierre, who appointed him brigadier general and put him in command of the artillery of France's army of Italy. Following the failed royalist putsch of 13th Vendémiaire, where, under the orders of Paul Barras, whose mistress he would go on to marry, he gunned down the Votigeur. He returned to Italy, this time as general-in-chief. It was during the next 4 years that his life forever changed. Better than anyone, he knew how to exploit his victories and cover up his defeats for the sake of public opinion. In France, everyone remembered the Battle of the Pyramids, which he won, while hardly anyone remembered the Battle of Aboukir Bay, which he lost. Widely recognized by the age of 30, he sought neither to be an aristocrat nor a revolutionary. When his mother reprimanded him one day, he famously replied, "Io sono imperatore." In 1799, he affirmed, "Io sono Bonaparte." He had become second to none. He had also mostly lost his Corsican accent. So, "Io sono imperatore," I believe translates to "I am an emperor" or "the emperor," and "Io sono Bonaparte," I am Bonaparte. which I think it's really easy to guess. Thomas Alejandro, oh, Jesus, Thomas Alejandro, Jesus, Thomas Alexandre Dumas. Not to be confused with his son, the famous French author. This Alexandre Dumas, who also went by the name Thomas Alexandre Dumas, was the son of a lesser French nobleman, Alexandre Antoine Davy, Marquis de la Pailloterie, and the black slave Marie Cécette Dumas in Saint-Domingue. Yo, shout out to Freedom Cry. The Marquis returned to Paris with his son in 1776, briefly selling young Thomas Alexandre into slavery, possibly in order to get him into France legally. This is why you read these documents. I add the appalling historical details because I care. Dumas stood well over 6 feet tall and knew no fear. He joined the first battalions of the Revolution in the rank of private. He was his mother's name to avoid family shame by being of such low rank. Men of noble lineage could enter directly into commission ranks, but it was difficult for someone of mixed race to do so. It's fun to try to guess why. Dumas went on to have a dazzling military career, attaining the rank of general. He served as second in command to the Chevalier Saint-Georges in the Black Legion, so named it was comprised of free men of color. He later led the Army of the Alps as commander-in-chief. Unfortunately, later in his career, Dumas found himself at odds with Napoleon Bonaparte. When he was captured and imprisoned in 1799, Bonaparte did nothing to secure his release, and Dumas returned to France ill and impoverished. He was denied a pension from the army and died in 1806 at the age of 44. This is so bullshit! Oh my god, I hate people. Right, Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette, 1755 to 1793, was by many accounts the most hated woman in the kingdom. Pretty, frivolous, mocking. She more than made up for her matrimonial boredom with parties and lavish spending. She's rushing towards her ruin, predicted her mother, Empress Maria Theresa. In fact, it was the War of America that would ruin France's finances, not her frivolity. To be fair, it would take quite some party to ruin France's finances all on its own. That would have to be a hell of a bar tab. Mind you, it is France. In the spring of 1789, she encouraged the king towards a faltering and contradictory policy, believing that only foreign intervention would be the salvation of the crown. In fact, it would be its loss. She refused to support Lafayette and Mirabeau, pressed on with a plan for a royal escape, which resulted in the capture of the entire royal family at Varennes. On August 13, 1792, she was imprisoned in the Tower of the Temple with her family after the invasion of the Tuileries. On August 1, 1793, she entered the Conciergerie. She was tried by the Revolutionary Tribunal on October 14. On October 16, she was sentenced to death for high treason. The sentence was carried out later the same day. Okay, if you read the Wikipedia entry for Marie Antoinette, I love this woman so much because she had so much sass in her. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Like how she, like, let's say, perceived the world and the things she used to say to people, like even on her execution day, her last words was to apologize for stepping on the executioner's foot. Like, that's hilarious. So yeah, read that. It's really cool.
Stay down. Do you see them?
The windows across the street.
Shh.
Watch out!
I got this. Okay. Need one more. Alright. Come on, Arnaud.
Who's killed you then?
What the heck is he doing?
We'll get him.
Dead. Dead. You good? Well, that was anticlimactic, wasn't it?
This is Bishop. Do you copy? Good
Yes.
work out there. You found him. Francois Thomas Germain, Grandmaster of the Templars and a sage to boot. By our reckoning, that's the second sage to rise to the Templars' highest rank. A troubling trend. Until we know more about this Germain, stick with Arnaud. He might have outlived this Grandmaster, and that could lead us to his body. Bishop out.
Okay. Well, that is it. Wait, I'm not sure. Wait. I don't know if I missed more database entries. I did. Maybe this. Petit Pont. One thing that can be said for this bridge is that it has never changed names in 2,000 years despite the various floods and fires that would ravage and occasionally destroy it. The bridge has always been heavily used since it was the outlet to the Roman roads leading to Orléans and Lyon. It was also the obligatory passageway for students who attended the schools on the left bank hill of the Montagne Sainte Geneviève. Alright. Okay. Club des Jacobins. The delightful Marché Saint-Honoré market was founded on the site of the most famous convent in the history of France, that of the Jacobins, which would be razed to the ground in 1806. Thanks to Robespierre, this monastery became the epicenter of the revolutionary tumult. While all the important decisions were made at the National Convention, the real power lay with the Jacobin Club, so called because of its meeting place in the Church of the Reformed Dominican, namely the Jacobins. Relieved of nearly all its monks, this huge convent was situated a stone's throw from the National Assembly at the exact location of the current Marché Saint-Honoré. After their initial meetings held in the sumptuous library and drawing of their success, the Jacobins occupied the church and installed amphitheaters setting tiers where 1,500 patrons could come to hear the words of Barnave, Lambeth, Marat, and Robespierre. It was very much a temple of impassioned discourse. Forgive me for this, but for some reason a French temple of impassioned discourse sounds like the most erotic thing I've ever heard of. 3 meetings a week were held there under the watchful eye of painter Jacques-Louis David, who could be considered history's first photo reporter. He took pictures, the dirty devil! The building was closed by the convention's troops on 10th Thermidor. I don't know what that means. It housed an initial market in 1810, dubbed Neuf Thermidor. Okay, that is done. What is MISC? Events. Yes! 13 Vendémiaire. The fall of Robespierre after his arrest on 9th Thermidor 2nd, July 1794, ended the terror and led to a more civilized stage of the revolution. It meant also a resurgence in the royalist activity, and in 1795 the convention was afraid that monarchists might win the next election. As a precaution, it adopted in August 1795 a decree called of the 2/3, stating that 500 of the 750 members of the future 2 assemblies will be current members of the convention. You think it had more to do with consolidating their power, don't you? I hate that you become so cynical. And well done. Those elections were scheduled for 20 Vendémiaire 4th, mid-October 1795, and Paris royalists were determined to make the convention revoke the rule. On 11th Vendémiaire, 7 Paris sections declared themselves as insurgents. Some of the National Guard joined them. The convention ordered Barras to take military measures, and, on the field, Bonaparte became de facto military leader. On 13 Vendémiaire, October 5th, the insurgents, some mentioned 25,000 people, marched on the convention at the Tuileries. Bonaparte had put in place a number of cannon produced by Joachim Murat, and after receiving the order from Barras, told the troops to open fire. Grape shot was very efficient on such urban terrain, causing around 300 deaths among the royalists. That action earned Bonaparte the nickname of Général Vendémiaire, and is considered by some as the true beginning of his rise to power. Oh, yes. Napoleon earned his fame firing grape shot at crowds of protesters. What a hero! He also hurt several enemies. Can't imagine why. Execution of Georges Danton. In 1793, three men aspired to lead France: Robespierre, Danton, and Marat. Danton oh my goodness. Danton's reputation preceded him. He was partial to money, women, and good living. Oh, what an oddball. It was said, excuse me, that he would readily change sides if there were a profit in it for him. Like many others, he was known to be corrupt. It seemed they all were, with the exception of Robespierre, known as the Incorruptible. Danton, however, was not sufficiently guarded. They wouldn't dare, he said, set on putting principles before men. Robespierre knew this and would indeed dare. On April 5th, Desmoulins and Danton were led to the Place de la Révolution, the present-day Place de la Concorde. Robespierre thus sent his friends to the guillotine. He closed the shutters in his room to avoid seeing or hearing anything. However, the convoy that carried the members of the indulgent party to the scaffold passed in front of Robespierre's house. Danton recognized the building. Refusing to sit, he shouted out, "Robespierre, you will follow us shortly. Your house shall be beaten down and sowed with salt." Just before his execution, Danton turned to Sanson, his executioner, and said, "Show my head to the people. It is worth seeing." It's nice to have confidence in your appearance, but that's taking a bit far. The blade that fell marked the end of the indulgence. Robespierre was now free to reign supreme. Machine Infernal. On December 24th, 1800, an attempt was made to assassinate the first consul Napoleon Bonaparte. The infernal machine was the explosive device used in an attempt to blow up the coach carrying the first consul as he left the Place du Carrousel at the Tuileries and made his way along Rue Saint-Nicaise to the Opera. Miraculously, Bonaparte was unscathed. Investigations initially led the authorities to suspect the Jacobins before they realized that it was a royalist plot. This entry doesn't mention the best parts. Get this. Napoleon escapes a bomb meant for him that killed 22 people, and instead of going home and encountering like any normal human being, he still goes to the opera. Of course, the assassin should have known right then he was 3 peanuts short of a bowl. I mean, this was a man who had been taught how each day could be your last, how you should live your life to the full, and what does he do? Spends 4 hours listening to some woman in a Viking helmet yelling in a theater. That must have struck fear into the hearts of his enemies like nothing else. Mirabeau and the Pantheon. Mirabeau's death prompted a desire to honor the great men who forged the revolution. On April the 4th, 1791, the Sainte Geneviève Church was transformed to the Pantheon of Great Men, with the following inscription on the building's pediment: "To its great men, a grateful nation." And yet, in 1792, when an iron chest was discovered at the Tuileries Palace containing correspondence between Louis XVI and, among others, Mirabeau, the latter was immediately discredited and removed from the Pantheon. Probably just jealous of his womanizing, I'd imagine. Alright, another thing. Mirabeau's Wikipedia page taught me that these letters cause, let's say, there are 3 theories about Mirabeau's true alliance in regards to revolution, monarchy, and, you know, like the people, the main figures of this time period. So I also recommend that you give that a read. And when I say Wikipedia, I mean it can be just any documentary, but Wikipedia is what I read. Women's March on Versailles. The Women's March was one of the inciting events of the French Revolution and effectively brought the king under the power of the state. Which I should note is exactly what Mirabeau wanted and part of the reason the assassins were there in the first place. On October 5th, 1789, tired of wanting for food, and especially bread, more than 700 women from Les Halles, the biggest market in Paris, decided to act. They converged at the Paris City Hall, which they subsequently ransacked, taking 1,700 muskets and 4 cannons. Workers from the Saint-Marceau and Saint-Antoine districts would come and join them. The crowd then made for Versailles. When the crowd reached the marble courtyard of the Chateau of Versailles, the king appeared. The crowd drew silent, respectful of their monarch. Then the queen emerged. The angry mob hurled abuse at her before they began to shout, "To Paris!" The king and queen, along with their children, were forced to return to the capital, where they stayed at the Tuileries Palace. This I read. Ooh.
Dear Arno, I confess I'm not entirely sure what to say here.
Huh.
It was good to see you again. Somehow rings hollow. An empty space unfit to contain the totality of my feelings. And yet I am pleased. Pleased that the assassins have not changed you completely. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. You never were one to be easily awed. It seems we have both found ourselves at an impasse in the hunt for my father's killer. Perhaps together, we can accomplish what neither of us could alone. It's nice to think that after all this time, we're still better together than apart. Yours, Elise.
Alright, the text isn't accurate, but it works.
Oh, Arno. What have you done? I know we didn't part on the best of terms, but to go running to the assassins? My father kept you away from them for a reason. Their creed is like wine. Sweet enough at first blush, and in moderation it makes life seem more bearable. But drink too deeply, and you find naught but madness and anarchy. No doubt they've already filled your mind with tales of how dreadful we Templars are. That we would make slaves of humanity, and place our boots on the world's neck. You knew my father, and you know me. I can only pray that is enough to give the lie to those tales. My order has turned against me, and I am hunted by those I once called friend. I could not bear it if you turned against me also. Think of me, and be well, Elise.
It makes no sense how Arnaud wasn't raised to be a Templar. It makes no sense whatsoever. Alright, and now is where the episode will end. I hope you enjoyed, well, the gameplay, and also the database entries. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.